Welcome to the School of Light Collective podcast. My name is Deborah Leanne, and I am your host this evening. And I am delighted to share with you one of my favorite people on this planet, whose light has graced my life for at least 5 years or so now, Karen Goldstein. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I am so honored to be here in this space with you.
It is a playground of sorts, and I can feel the celebratory energy that comes together every time we're together, any of us in this collective. It's just, ooh. And there's also the anticipation of the doors opening. I think that's a big part of this, since we're recording this prior to the opening date in March. And as we gather ourselves, I want to introduce our listeners to who you are, a little bit of the essence that you bring to this collective. And I was wondering if you could just share with us, tell me a little bit about you and light and how you dance with it.
That's an ever-evolving question and an ever-evolving answer. In this most recent iteration of myself, my dance with light looks like magic. Mm-hmm. And that means that I am deeply remembering new levels and deeper levels of my magic, and of the magic of who we are, and that's translating into how I support clients and students in helping them remember. And so with that, there's the light and the shadow. It's remembering and embracing the shadow in order to alchemize that into the light of who we are, which enables us to be even more brilliant.
Yes. And it's so perfect that we're having these conversations at the time of the equinox. It's the light and the shadow. It's the equality of each and both and. So when I get a chance to play with you in terms of energy space and all of that, I am so each time is very different. And I can understand because we are evolving, but I wanted to ask you, tell me how you started, or when did you start getting into these various different modalities? And we'll talk about what they are in just a minute.
Well, it really goes way back to when I was in junior high school, and I started to learn about this thing called psychometry, which is when you hold an object in your hand and you receive impressions about the energy or what that object holds. And I started to do these quote unquote psychometry readings for my friends in school. And every now and then, or more often than not, it would be validated. You know, whatever I saw, they would instantly validate. And then years later, when my first, I guess you can call him my spiritual teacher, showed up in my life, and my path from living unconsciously to consciously opened up, that form of healing, that first form of healing that I studied was breath work, which I loved because it moved so much in such a short amount of time. Yeah. I had experienced going to therapy, and this was like I was able to accomplish in one breath session what it would have taken a really long time in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this I got into really for myself healing. It was never an intention to ever do anything with it. And that led me then to get curious about energy work. And I became a Reiki master, which I don't really use that much. I find it doesn't go quite as deep as I like to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I was led into a school where I studied various forms of energetic healing and psychic awareness, which some of it was based on Barbara Brennan, some of it was more Native American. And that led me then to, years later working with other teachers, and then opening up to working with the plant teachers and the Akashic Records. And working with the Akashic Records is a really big part of my healing and my practice now, because the Akashic Records are the living library that house all of the information about our soul, every lifetime we've ever lived, every person we've ever known. And for me, on my own journey, I've gone through experiences where I said to myself, I don't want to go through this again. So I want to know what my lesson is so that I can learn it and move on. And what I love working with the Akashic Records is that because these records are of the soul, they're of the depth of the soul, it's pretty deep. And so threads that go through lifetimes get to be healed and transmuted in moments.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yes. And I so love the work with you and with anyone on the Akashic Records, but you and Trish especially. And I actually know how to read Akashic Records, but I don't get the same level of vivid images as I do with you. So it's I think there's something about being in community as well that opens that up. One of the things I wanted to ask you is when it is like the types of women or men who come for sessions with you, what is it that they're looking for? What kind of healings have you been able to provide for clients?
I wish that was a simple question. It really varies. Some of them are feeling confused or lost. Some are just struggling with the climate that we're living in on the planet of this time and looking for guidance on how to navigate that.
Mm-hmm.
Some are having starting to have past life memories that they're curious about. So there's a curiosity about some past life stuff. Some of them are just attracted to certain things and want to know, why do I keep thinking of this? Or why do I keep seeing that? And some have health issues. And there's a lot of searching though.
Yeah. And it sounds like it's multi-dimensional, so that, if it's a physical issue or an emotional issue or spiritual, past life, soul issue, there's so many ways that your work can support people in their searching, right, for answers and healing. One of the things I wanted to ask you as well is, when I've spoken with others in the collective, it's been fun to speak to each of them around, or each of you around, what would you say is your flavor or your color of the light that you bring forth? And I don't mean it in terms of there's a good or a bad or different strength to anybody's, but what I do notice is everybody has a different note, literally, that we play, right? And that's what creates this harmony that we've put together here. So I'm curious if you could describe your light in this collective. How would you stand out and how do you blend?
So that with the blending part, I would say I'm very permeable. So um, I can easily adapt to create um, rapport or create an environment where the individual feels really safe and really held.
Mm.
And I have a way of being able to hold a very solid container as well as a really soft, gentle holding.
Mm.
And one of the things that I'm told a lot is that people feel really safe and really held, which for me is one of the strongest foundations for any healing. Um,
I believe that's true. Mm-hmm.
and my own frequency of light, I feel like it's sort of a combination between I hold a lot of angelic frequency as well as the elemental energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a combination between like magical earth and then galactic, cosmic, and angelic energy.
Yeah.
A little of both, you
So
know.
way down here in the ground and then way up there, or if you want to think, so it spans quite a variety of levels. I love that.
Yeah. It's
Um,
important to be, we're here on the earth, and I have such respect and admiration for this beautiful planet that we're on. Um, and so by being here in the body, it serves the whole and it serves the entire galaxy. And it's important to be anchored here. We are of the earth, and we are also of the stars.
that's so important. I work with so many women leaders who are so up and out of their bodies, and they're intelligent and they're very spiritual, and it's not grounded, and it's like working with a live electrical wire that's dangerous, or
Yeah.
it's not effective, right? and
Yeah.
and that makes it harder to create impact and change where we
Mm-hmm.
where we want to, where it matters most. Another thing that I would so curious if you would share is around the different um, you talked a little bit about some of the things that you were maybe not as much doing the Reiki anymore, but the different types of energy, and I know Akashic records, but how do you blend gene keys into the work that you do?
For me, the gene keys are our frequency of a transmission, and I consider myself a very young student in the world of the gene keys. So they are part of me. They're part of a practice that I use for myself. I'm just at the wee beginnings of being able or feeling comfortable enough to work with my clients' gene keys.
Uh-huh. Okay. And yet we all speak in gene key language in the collective. So you're versed enough to understand some of the places where, like, which keys shows up in life work versus purpose or vocation or different areas. I know that we all have different levels of like, some people are super experienced, right? Trish and Jen and others. And then there's those of us who I consider myself a novice as well. Yet it's informing us on some energetic level. And it is part of, I think, the words that we use. We tend to use the city of the gene keys to describe certain states that we're looking to move into or grow. And I'm curious if you could see a way of where would be your next step in terms of growth to have the gene keys support or hold you as you hold others in their searching and healing?
The gene keys they're part of my practice. So they're woven into my daily contemplation. I connect with them regularly, and I receive so many awarenesses just regularly. Mm-hmm. And with regards to the school and the gene keys, like you said, there are some others that are much more gene key forward with the gene keys presence in their practice. Mine is more of a, it's like an undertone with it. And I feel more connected to the guardianship of the school with the energy of the gene keys on my behalf, rather than the day-to-day practice and how they are woven in.
Right. And that's still, so yes. So I see that we have this connection as that is kind of our foundation in the collective. Yet this is where I love each person kind of brings in their own color that they're weaving in to create this. There's a word for it. I have to look it up. But it's like an entity that we have put together in terms of the School of Light, right? Has its own soul and its own energy. And so the last thing I wanted to ask you is, if somebody were to want to work with you or learn more about you, how would they reach you, Karen?
Easiest way to reach me right now is either through Facebook or Instagram. You can reach me on there. It's Karen J. Goldstein or Karen Goldstein, or you can reach me by email, karenjgoldstein@gmail.com.
Excellent. Excellent. And then as well, on if they wanted to comment directed to you on the School of Light collective Facebook page as well, they could also direct you there. Okay.
Yeah.
The last thing that I wanted to share is, if you were to, and I didn't ask you to open the records before, but if you were to, kind of like before you close the records, there's always that beautiful question: is there anything else that you'd like us to know, record keepers, before we close? Is there a comment that you would love to share with our listeners at this time?
Love that question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just that I continue to walk this path and continue to expand and step into the light and the love that I am. And it's my greatest and deepest devotion and honor to support any and all on their walk. And really just to continue to remember the truth of who you are. And that's what we're here to help you do, is to remember that.
Yes. Yes. Oh, and I have another question I just thought of. I have years ago, 20 something years ago, I picked up a book called The 10th Insight, which was a follow-up to the Celestine prophecy of the 90s. And the 10th, which was the first 9 insights. And the 10th insight is this, is all about knowing our birth vision. Why is it that we came to be here now? And I've been playing with women, especially the women leaders that I'm in the leadership development training role with, to really tap into, why are you here right now in this life? And I am wondering if there's a way to support people with these birth visions, to know before they embodied in this incarnation at this time, what were they here? What did they come here to do? So just to help remind them so they can get back on track. Because a lot of times we kind of go where the wind blows us because we're not so clear and we're unsure, and we get off track. So I'm wondering, is that something that you would be able to support people with?
Absolutely, as with all the others in the school. And there's not one answer to why we're here. We've all come with our own unique mission. In the big scheme of things, that we're here to support the evolution, whether it's the evolution of the planet, the evolution of our soul, the evolution of the universe. And we all have different expertise, if you want to call it, or different specialties that we are using to support that. Some of us are working more closely with the earth and the earth elements. Some of us are working more with galactic and galactic. Some of us are here solely to heal and release our lineage.
Yes.
And so it's really, it starts with the individual inquiring and asking the question within, and then seeing what appears, who shows up to support them.
Yes. And I want to make sure that everyone who's listening understands that that's basically what I believe the role of this school is, the role of this collective is that each of us is here to support beyond the council that it has created a school. Now we're ready to open this to be supporting beyond to others who are attracted to the light in the way that we have been, that brought us together. So on that note, I just wanted to say thank you. It is always so much fun for me to get an opportunity to talk to you. And I look forward to playing with you more as this playground continues to grow and develop, and we continue to have cups of tea or coffee or glasses of wine or however to come together and show and demonstrate kind of how we work and how each of our different essences will get a chance to shine even brighter then. So thank you. And thank you, all of you listeners, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you, everyone.